If you're interested in learning more about some of the not so common things that actually come into making a coaching business successful, stay tuned. I'm going to be talking all about the role that our emotional and energetic state plays in developing a successful coaching business. Hi there, welcome to the Wholehearted Business Show. I'm Laura. I help health, life and spiritual coaches get more clients, generate more income so they can live their most aligned life. And today on the show, I'm going to be talking all about the role that our energetic and emotional state plays when it comes to developing a successful coaching business. Now, perhaps you've heard people talk about how when you start a business, it's a bit like taking a self-development class, a personal development class that you never realised you were signing up for. And I really believe that is the honest to God truth, because the journey that we go on when we decide to start a coaching business, it can be a real roller coaster of emotions, a roller coaster of experiences, just what we are asking ourselves to do in terms of the many different hats that we have to wear. We have to figure out how to do sales and marketing, and we have to get comfortable with being visible. There's so many different facets to running a business that can be tricky. And I do believe that something that we don't talk about often enough in the whole realm of growing a successful coaching business is our capacity to, and I don't know if manage is actually the right word here, but our capacity around how we show up and interact and understand our emotional and therefore energetic state. You can get really woo about it, and we can think about how our energetic state comes into how we're manifesting things and what experiences we're pulling in and drawing in, but also on a really practical sense, like how it is that you are actually showing up and behaving in your business, the kind of boundaries that you have, and all kinds of topics like that are all interconnected, I feel, with your emotional and energetic state. So what do I mean when I talk about our emotional and energetic state? So I'm going to give you a little example here to help illustrate what on earth it is that I'm talking about. So let's say that you're launching your first group program and you've ran the challenge, and the challenge has been awesome, people have engaged in it, you've got 3 days left until the cart closes, but no one has signed up yet. Now, at this point, you can go one of two ways. You can sink into a spiral of negativity and think, obviously, I'm shit, my business is shit, everything's not going to work, I'm not going to make any money, this is a failure, I'm going to fail, I'm a failure, everything's terrible, and just spiral into that place and not really do anything else with your launch. And it might be that people do sign up, or it might be that they don't, but you haven't done anything else. You've been in that place where you just feel really shit and crap about everything. And alternatively, let's say that you did feel that way, you felt really a bit rubbish, you felt worried that no one was going to sign up, you felt like a bit of a failure, you felt all those feelings, but instead of just pushing them down a little bit and just not really working with them, you spent some time really just allowing them to come up, acknowledging the feelings, acknowledging where they were coming from, just really spending some time with them rather than pushing them away. And then after you did that, you then did some things to raise your energetic state, so to get it in a much better place. And that in turn made you feel more positive and more optimistic. And then you sent out a couple of extra emails. You went and did an Instagram live, and hey presto, you actually got 4 people signing up for your group program. So that's just a very rough example. But the difference is, I think there, what I want to explain is that we are going to go through, like, business is a real roller coaster, and at most stages of business you're going to experience ups and downs. I think as you get further on in business, you can better mitigate against those like really big, certainly the big lows, you can mitigate against some of that. But really every stage of business you're going to experience like this roller coaster effect. You're going to have months that are really good, you're going to have months where you're getting loads of new clients signing up, you're going to get loads of email subscribers, you might get featured in a newspaper, in a magazine, like you're going to ride that high. And then there's going to be other months when things are a bit more difficult. And I honestly think that unless you're very lucky, that is what business looks like for a lot of people. And like I say, as you get further on in business, you can absolutely mitigate some of those less shiny bits and make them less common and do things to improve that. But part of running a business is that you are going to experience these different ups and downs. And I guess really what I'm talking about here is how can we develop that resilience so that we're better able to handle those ups and downs without it like completely throwing us off course, without it allowing us to like really drag us down. Because that's certainly where I was in the past. I would be, and it could be anything from just like scrolling past another coach and feeling like a massive pang of comparison, to a launch not going the way that I wanted it to go, and it would really knock me for 6. It would really knock me out of the game, like quite considerably, sometimes have a really big negative emotional impact. And that in turn didn't help me, and it didn't help my business. It didn't help me show up. It didn't help me connect with more clients. It wasn't helpful at all. And often what I would do as well is I would be walking around with this like kind of low level, like rubbishy feeling in the background, whether or not, like I say, it was from comparison or from just never feeling good enough, and just walking around with this kind of low level of not feeling good enough. And the difficulty with that is I didn't really let it come to the surface. So I didn't let it come to the surface to be fully processed and understood. And what happened was, when I started to allow that to happen, I've been triggered by that circumstance, by that event. Let's get into that. Like, what has caused that to be so triggering? What has made me feel so negative around that particular experience? And that was so helpful because it helped me learn so much more about myself, but it also taught me to be able to manage that feeling a lot better, and often to bounce back a little bit quicker as well from it. So it just made such a big difference for me in my business journey, just starting to notice the things that would knock me off course, and to also build that resilience around how can I bounce back quicker, but without that kind of toxic positivity where you were just ignoring the whole thing completely as well. And in all honesty, I'm quite new to the whole concept of energetics, and I think, again, like how this interlinks with your emotions, but I really feel like our energetic state, like how it is that we're feeling when we are in our businesses, when we are with our clients, when we're marketing ourselves, when we're showing up and doing videos like this, I honestly feel it makes such a difference to just have a bit of a handle on what your energetic state is doing. And like I say, it's not to say that you should be in this perpetual state of positivity all of the time. I don't think that's realistic or actually a very good thing either. But it is about how can you be aware of that and just start to get a sense of where you are at any one time energetically when it comes to you and how you interact with your business. Like I said, this is a slightly difficult concept to communicate. I think it's just about recognizing that, first of all, business is a roller coaster, as I've said. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. As you get further on in business, you can mitigate the amount of downs that you have. However, they are still going to happen. You might still get like a really difficult client. You might still get someone asking for a refund request. You might still get like a massive load of unsubscribers. And those things are okay. Another part of this is also recognizing that some things are just normal part of business. We put so much of ourselves into our businesses. So part of this, I think, is that our coaching businesses feel so personal to us. Like we put our heart and soul into them. And I think that leaves us, it's a bit of a superpower, because when we put ourselves in there, like the connection we can create with people, the way we can help people, the way that we can show up is amazing. But it also kind of leaves us slightly more vulnerable, I think, to taking things more personally, to really feeling every bump on that roller coaster is going to hit you. And I think that's part of, how can we manage ourselves around that is going to be helpful. Like I said, I think it is just recognizing that we're going to have these ups and downs, but thinking about what can I do to manage my energetic state a little bit more. So for me, the kind of things that I do now is I will start to notice a much more, and to be fair, this is something that's happened across my entire life. But I notice now, if I'm feeling a little bit anxious or jittery, and I don't know if anyone else gets this, but it's a really big thing for me, I'll just get this sense of like my internal landscape, and I can just feel, it's not like a really big emotion, but it's just there underneath, and it's like the sense of anxiety or unease or jitteriness. And now that is a flag for me, like it's a reminder for me to just sit down and take a couple of minutes and be like, and just ask myself like, okay, so what's causing that? What's going on there, Laura? What is it? And often it will be, I'm feeling a little bit anxious about something, or something's happened that is making me worried about something, or there's this thing that I've forgotten about. And this has really been the key for me in terms of not numbing out with food, not numbing out with like TV or drinking or anything like that. It's been really helpful, because the more comfortable I've become with acknowledging like that, those kind of like feelings inside, that little bit of discomfort, and actually allowing that to come up to the surface to be processed. And often all I need to do is just say to myself is, it's fine, you are safe, nothing bad's happening. It's just and often it's just my nervous system being like, oh shit, this is this thing. Laura, look at this thing. There's this thing going on and it's terrible. And I have to be like, actually, higher self Laura here, who's in reality, and not that nervous system part of myself that is in flight or fright mode, has to come in and say, it's okay. I've got this. It's nothing to worry about. You're fine. And that is just, that little thing in itself has been a really big shift in business. I used to wake up in the middle of the night and think, oh, what about this client? What about that thing that I've forgotten to do? Or what about this thing? I need to do more about this. I need to do more about that. Or often I'm just not good enough for this or whatever. And all those kind of like negative thoughts. And actually just allowing that stuff to like really come to the surface and be acknowledged and just figure out like what is going on under there, and working that out has been so profound for me, and certainly in my business journey. I feel like I'm not as reactive. I think that's one of the things as well. I feel like it takes a lot more to knock me off where I need to be. And in terms of my energetic state in business, I want to be optimistic and positive, but in a grounded, centered way that is difficult, like I say, is difficult to knock off balance. That's where I want to be at. I want to be open to new things. I want to be curious. I want to be experimental and enjoy what I do. That's the kind of energetic state that I want to inhabit when I am interacting with my business. So just knowing that for start as well, that might be a little task that you can do, is just think, what do I want my energetic state to look like when I am showing up in my business? What do I want that to look like? How can I give myself space? And often we need to give ourselves space. Like I think something I wrote on my to-do list a few weeks ago was time to journal mindset stuff. But something like that, because you need to give yourself space for these things to actually come up. And so often in modern life, when we're all busy, running a business is busy, we don't allow ourselves to have the space to just let these things come up and be processed and be dealt with as well. So that's just a little tip as well on that side of things. And then also things that you can do to just get yourself out of a bit of a funk. I'll put a link to where I've talked about having a business wobble, because they're really common. And again, like this definitely interlinks with that. There's lots of crossovers in this, but we all have business wobbles. We all have days where everything feels terrible and like nothing is working. And it's good to have some tools in your toolbox of things that you can use that help kind of shift that energetic state back into closer to the one that you want to be in when you are showing up in your business. So some of the things that I like to do, things like listening to music, like I always put on some really good music and just have a bit of a dance about if I need to. Sometimes it's about just stopping what it is that you're doing, stopping being in the business, stopping showing up in the business, and just have a break. Just take a break, whether that's for a few hours or a few days. It's not the end of the world. Take a bit of a break if you need it. Maybe it's getting out into nature and allowing that to help. Maybe it's moving your body, having a workout. Maybe it's having an orgasm. Anything that helps you shift your energetic state is really useful. But just don't do it, I think, without having some space to acknowledge the feelings that are coming up. And whether that's a quick journal, recording a voice note to yourself about what it is that you're feeling to help you process stuff, it is so useful to be able to help do that. And again, like I said, the benefits of doing this is because I think when we are in a centered and balanced energetic state around our businesses, we can show up in a much, much better way. Like I say, all the laws are not going to knock us off quite so much. We're going to feel much more present, much more grounded and rooted into what it is that we're doing. We're not going to feel as negative as often. We're going to be able to roll with the punches a little bit more. And also from a very woo point of view, we're going to be able to manifest things in a much better way. We're going to be able to call new things in. We're going to be much more open to new experiences, new opportunities and things like that. Hope that this has made sense. A bit of a different episode from me today, but I really wanted to chat about all of this because I think it's one of those things that often we don't really think about this side of things. It's all strategy, and this is not even quite mindset really, it's something slightly different. But strategy, it's mindset, it's all the practical doey things, but actually this is something that I think is really important, is how we learn to manage that a little bit better. Because like I say, when we're not, it's not actually enjoyable because we're getting knocked on that roller coaster all of the time. And like I say, that roller coaster is part and parcel of running a business, but we need to develop the energetic and emotional capacity to roll with that and to mitigate it, and also to lift ourselves into a better energetic state when we need to as well. And also just a quick reminder that this is absolutely the kind of thing that I get into with my one-to-one clients in my one-to-one coaching and mentoring program. I think I mentioned this last week, but the price for Thrive is going to be going up in March. If you're interested in working with me on a one-to-one basis, please do check that program out. It's awesome if you really feel that you're ready to take your coaching business to the next level. This is the ongoing work that we need to do to help us become the best kind of coaches we can be. I'm actually kind of glad that I've been through some of these things because I feel that it makes me a better coach and a better mentor for others, because I've experienced the ups and downs. I've experienced the roller coasters. I've experienced all of that stuff. I know exactly what it's like. And luckily at this point for me in business, having been doing this for over 10 years, I know how to mitigate a lot of that and how to manage it better as well. So I would love to know what your thoughts are on this one. Please let me know. Leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up. That is so helpful. Always really appreciated if you enjoy the stuff that I put out there. And yeah, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this one. How do you feel about this whole topic? Do you feel a bit bashed about by your emotions and your energetic state, or do you feel differently? Let me know, and I will see you next week, guys. Take care. Bye.